Welcome to another episode of the OC Show. I am your host, Donnie Henderson. Thank you so much for joining me for our latest episode. Quick little tidbits we want to get out of the way before we get started. Um, we've gone from 3 subscribers to now 10 subscribers, and I thank you all so much for getting me up to those 10 subscribers. What I need to have happen, and my goal is to get 50 subscribers. What happens when I get 50 subscribers? I'm glad you asked. Once I get 50 subscribers, then what I'll be able to do is I'll be able to do a live show. And when I'm able to do a live show, I'll be able to include some of you. And that's what I want to do. I want to include folks that I know and make you a part of the discussion so that I can further my little venture that I'm doing here with the OC show. Other thing, OC, I've had several guesses of what OC means, what that stands for. I've yet to get a correct guess. Once I get a correct guess, like I said before, I will shout you out on that next show to let everyone know. All of my 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s of listeners know who guessed it correctly, what the OC means, and why I chose that name for this show. But please put those guesses in the comments. I've got a lot of phone calls. I've had personal, text messages and phone calls saying, "Oh, this is what this means." I've had emails. I had people come up to me in person and say, "Oh, this is what it means. This is what it means." I want the comments. I want you to like, subscribe to my channel so that I can grow this show to make it what I know it can be. Um, Again, thank you for the positive feedback that I've received so far. My first 2 shows. I just hope to continue to improve to make this what I wanted to make it. Sports Jewel, brought to you by. I have a sponsor. The Sports Jewel today is brought to you by Simflix. Simflix, for those of you in the Metro Detroit area, in the Tri-County area of Detroit, Wayne, Macomb, and Oakland counties, Simflix will be our sponsor for today. Simflix is a company that will do graduations, weddings, any type of video or photography need that you need. Simflix is where to go. Area code 586-491-5382. Contact Sim Henderson at Simflix. Any wedding, any graduation, any type of retirement party, any type of thing that you want documented, that you want great photos at a fair price. Simflix. Again, area code 586-491-5382. Sports Jewel, again, brought to you by Simflix. And my Sports Jewel today. Now, for those of you who know me and for those of you who follow me on social media already, you know that I give some weird, I wouldn't call it weird, some unique movie reviews. Today's Sports Jewel is about a movie. The movie that I want to recommend to everyone. I typically tell you stuff that I don't recommend, but I recommend this movie. It's called Shooting Stars. It's a very entertaining dramatization of the early story of LeBron James and how in his high school career. Now, before I go any further, Michael Jordan is the GOAT. I'm not going to get into that debate today. Michael Jordan's the GOAT. But I want to give credit where credit is due. This film, Shooting Stars, giving the story of LeBron James and his high school journey before he got to the NBA, is an excellent, entertaining view. It's a lot of nostalgia for someone my age, being 45, and people my age. A lot of nostalgia as far as different things, the type of dress and the type of just atmosphere that's going around during the time that LeBron James was in high school. It's fun for that, but what I got out of this film and why I made it my sports jewel this week is because it gives you the story of friendship, friendship, true loyalty. Now, it wasn't always easy for this team and the situation for all these guys. It does focus, primarily on, the person that's the most famous, LeBron James, obviously, but it does focus on the other teammates and these other friends of theirs. And it also spotlights the loyalty that they have, that these guys have. And that's something that's lacking. And we talked about loyalty last week when it came to Dame Lillard, but the loyalty that all these guys, these boys had, and the coach had to these guys, and to the protection that they, all gave each other is remarkable. And it's something that is, again, missing in our society. Um, Friendship, the right kind of friends to encourage you, to, have your back, to, push you to go forward. It's a great story showing what true friends and how good, motivating, good examples, good peers, what they can do for each other. Sports Jewel this week is Shooting Stars, the LeBron James movie that what I can't where would I find it at? On Paramount, I believe it's on Paramount, Paramount or Peacock, one of those two. Check it out. Another new segment that I want to introduce today, the unpopular sports opinion minute. The unpopular sports opinion minute. Now, it's easy for us to go on and look at ESPNs and the FS1s, and we just kind of follow the narrative of what the story is. But my unpopular sports opinion is this. As you know, and if you hadn't gathered from the first three shows, I am a Detroit sports fan. I'm very loyal. I'm very dedicated to my Detroit sports. For the first time in years, and I've had this discussion several times in the past few weeks as we gear up to football season. Unpopular sports opinion. The Detroit Lions have been selected by several outlets to be the favorites in the NFC North. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, the Detroit Lions are on the come up. They're going to be the ones to, win the North this year." My unpopular sports opinion is that they're not going to do it. I so hope I'm wrong, and I'm not being that guy like, "Oh, Donnie, you're just trying to reverse jinx." I'm really not trying to reverse jinx. I've just seen this. I've seen this team, and I know pretty much what's going to happen almost all the time. But this is the first time. This is the first off season I can go right into this and say, I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea. Several of my close friends that I talk, during the football season. I called that run at the end of the year. I called them win most of those games. I called it. And if you guys are listening, you know who you are. You know who you are, the guys that I called about last season, about how they're going to go on a big tear. And we would text back and forth every Sunday. I called that. For some reason, I had a feeling. They went 9-8. Will they improve on that 9-8? My unpopular sports opinion is that they will not. And I will have a new level of disappointment. These shows right now are pretty tame, but once football season starts, especially for Michigan football and Detroit Lions football, these shows are not going to be tame depending on how high or how low I am. It's going to get interesting. On to my main topic for today. Hazing. Hazing has come up here in the past week. Hazing. What is hazing? Hazing. And when you hear the term hazing, it's typically a negative connotation. And for the most part, it is a negative thing. But what is hazing? The definition of hazing that I got is it's the it's the imposition or it's excuse me, it's strenuous, often humiliating task as a part of a program or rigorous physical training and initiation. And I want to focus on the word initiation. Now that we kind of know what hazing is, who does it? Who hazes? Now, I went to a very small high school, so there wasn't much hazing as far as freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors. We were all for the most part in the same area all the time. So there was really no room to haze. It was kind of like a small little family. So I didn't have to deal with that in high school. But once I got to college, there was a rule put out to the, I mean, the freshmen were told there's no hazing allowed. And if there's any hazing, please, let, some superiors know. I went to a small private college, but big enough that we had things called collegians as a kind of a watered down version of fraternities and sororities. But they emphasize no hazing, no hazing. And so that was my first real introduction to hazing. There was no, it was very, very light hazing there. I mean, oh, you're a freshman, oh, do this, do that. But, where does hazing happen? Hazing happens a lot more places than we really want to realize. Hazing happens in the military. Hazing happens a lot of times when you're new to a job, and hazing happens and is more popular at the college level, especially in college sports. Pat Fitzgerald, now former head coach of the Northwestern Wildcats, and for most of us, you hear Northwestern, especially Northwestern football or basketball, Northwestern sports. It kind of just goes over your head. I'm a Big Ten guy. Grew up in a Big Ten family, and for the most part, we're Michigan fans. Well, not for the most part, we are Michigan fans, and that's just all there is to it. Someone earlier today, asked me, "Oh, you're from the Detroit area. Are you a Michigan or Michigan State fan?" I'm definitely a Michigan fan. But as far as the Big Ten goes, when you think of Northwestern, most people don't think of it. I have a very close family member that graduated from Northwestern. And so our family does have a soft spot in our hearts for Northwestern University. And so this whole story with Pat Fitzgerald and the former head coach of the Northwestern Wildcats football team got caught up in this hazing situation. At first, right before the 4th of July, they suspended him for 2 weeks for, the hazing that was going on. And you have to take hazing seriously, especially in NCAA Division I college sports because of all the different lawsuits that can go on. But when you first heard this story, oh, Coach Fitzgerald is suspended for 2 weeks because of some different things going on in the program. But then a few days later, he got fired. Now, in sports, when we hear that someone is fired, we're kind of jaded to it. Now, the term fired or being fired is something that's very serious. Now, how many of you have ever fired someone? How many of you have ever been fired? It's not pleasant. So for us to, and in the sports world, we just kind of, oh, this coach got fired. Oh, this so-and-so got fired. And we just kind of glaze over it. But why? Why did Pat Fitzgerald get fired? Well, I mean, and I'm not going to get into the details of the actual hazing that went on at Northwestern University because if you do some research and you do the reading, and I'm just not going to get into it in this show regarding the actual particulars of what that hazing was, it was pretty serious. And it's something that needed to be dealt with. And the superiors at Northwestern felt it appropriate to dismiss Coach Fitzgerald from the football team. Now, who is Pat Fitzgerald? Again, being a Big Ten guy and being, following Northwestern a little bit because of, family being involved, being alumnus of Northwestern. Let's look at Pat Fitzgerald. Pat Fitzgerald he played at Northwestern. He was a linebacker at Northwestern. He came back and he was an assistant coach, associate coach, and then he became the head coach. And he was the head coach at Northwestern for 17 seasons. 2018 Big Ten Coach of the Year. Led Northwestern to the Big Ten championship game in 2018 and 2020. Now, if you know anything about the Big Ten and Big Ten sports, Northwestern for years was a laughingstock. It's an automatic win on your schedule. Pat Fitzgerald made Northwestern relevant. Pat Fitzgerald was not the type of coach that went to Northwestern to just build that program up. He went to Northwestern because he wanted to be there. He was a lifer. He wasn't going anywhere. Pat Fitzgerald's not even 50 years old. So if he had been fired, he'd probably be there till his 60s or 70s. He had opportunities to go to other universities that are more attractive, that had more resources, bigger stadiums, all these different things. Northwestern is not a destination. It's just not. But it was his destination. He wanted to be there. I'm not at all condoning the behavior that went on at Northwestern because, according to reports, it was well known throughout the program. But my problem is this: if this hazing was well known throughout the program, and let's not get it twisted, there's hazing that goes on at your favorite team, if you have especially if a college team, and in these professional teams too, they haze the rookies that come in, whether it be baseball, football, basketball, whatever. There's hazing that goes on in sports. It happens. It's there, and I'm gonna make this point too. Hazing works. The negative connotation that hazing has is definitely earned, but hazing works. Hazing does build it builds loyalty and unity. It builds loyalty and unity to that team and to that program, to that goal. Can hazing go too far? Absolutely. And in the example here at Northwestern, it went way too far. Again, I'm not going to get into those details. It's not that kind of show. But Northwestern decided to part ways with Pat Fitzgerald, a guy that wanted to be there. I guarantee you that most folks don't want to go to Northwestern. It's not a destination. I say all that to say this. If this hazing was well known and it's something that was, the program knew about, why just him? Why not the entire coaching staff be fired? Well, you could say, oh, well, they need someone to coach. They need to have a program. It's only, a month. You got about 40, 45 days before, kickoff of college football. You need someone there. I submit that firing Pat Fitzgerald, maybe, that's their decision to make. On the surface, I don't agree with it. Maybe suspend him for a year, because the type of hazing that did go on, it's pretty questionable. So I'm not too upset that they fired. I can't get that mad, but I think that firing him might have been the wrong thing for Northwestern University, because you're not going to find a guy. You're not going to find a Pat Fitzgerald, someone who is a good coach. They had a down year last year, a good coach, but someone who wanted to be there. Because no one wants to be at Northwestern. Because the next coach that they hire, not this interim coach, the defensive coordinator they hired, the next coach that they hire is going to try to build Northwestern up just to leave. Sports is a really, really weird business. It's not easy. Decisions that are made up top are not easy. I'm not saying that Northwestern had an easy decision to make, but I will say they're never going to find another Pat Fitzgerald. Thanks very much for listening today. We want to build up the show. Please like and subscribe, comment, figure out what OC means, and we'll see you guys next time.